Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and I am back with the Coffee Cast. And in this time, we are going to be having a 2v2 between a couple of very highly ranked players, I believe. Okay, let me go ahead and just introduce these players here. We have Beauty, whatever. We have Beauty spawning as the bluish ProCast in the top left corner. And over here, we do have actually Complexity's Minigun. And this is the real minigun for those of you asking, because I know somebody would ask. This is the real minigun. I don't think Terran is his main race. Last I knew it was ProCast, but I've heard reports that he switched to Zerg. Nonetheless, down here in the bottom right, we do have Nico and Miyashiro as the red and blue players. Now, I do know Beauty and Minigun are very, very highly ranked players. If you guys do not know who Minigun is, he was really, really good back in the day. And I mean, anybody who was good back in the day is still good now. He's just one of those guys that just lounges about. I don't see him in the spotlight at any big tournaments or anything. But that does not mean that he is not a good player anymore. We do have Nico down here. I've never heard of him. And Shiro, I'm just going to call him Shiro. Shiro I've never heard of either. But, I mean, once again, if they're playing Beauty, who is a high Masters player in 1s through 4s, and Minigun, who's competition ready, pretty much, they've got to be pretty highly ranked players themselves. So once again, this is a 2v2 match. This is going to be my first 2v2 match. I have casted a 3v3 from Beauty as well. She has been sending me replays lately, and if you have not already, I will go ahead and link her video, not her YouTube, her Facebook in the chat, and I will also link it in the description for those of you who are VOD viewers, and go there and like her on Facebook. She's a pretty awesome girl, and she's really nice. And once again, anybody who feeds me replays, I am perfectly alright with that. It does look like Beauty is going to be going for a double gateway before Cybernetics Core. Doesn't even have gas down yet. So it looks like we will be seeing a little bit of zealot pressure coming out of her. Only one racks down for Minigun at the time, looking like they're trying to get the scout out of the base before they do anything. We do have an expansion coming out of Shiro for our blue Zerg player down there, and it does look like the bottom team here is setting up to do some sort of defensive strategy. A little bit of a late pause. I believe this was a very, very early hatch. It might have even been a hatch first at that. And it looks like our red ProCast player just playing support for the bottom team here, just trying to keep them alive while trying to secure an economy advantage. This is one really popular way to play 2's, is have one player be the defensive player and one player be the macro player, and you just kind of have to hope that the defensive player can hold off any sort of push long enough for the macro player to be able to come up. And it does look like now we are going to be seeing a 1-racks expand coming out of Complexity's Minigun. In the meantime, laying down a bunker. Now we have the Cybernetics Core coming up, and the Warp Gate will surely follow shortly. Kind of an interesting opening going for these two gateways, but it is very nice to try to stop any sort of early pressure. If one of the opponents does try to 6-pool, or if there is a proxy gate, the 2 gate is an excellent way to stop that. And in 2's, that's a pretty good assumption that you are going to be 6-pooled or proxy gated or something. I mean, a couple days ago, I was playing some 2's. I got 6-pooled 3 games in a row in 2's. It was ridiculous, and I literally thought I was going to kill myself afterward. I mean, honestly, it was awful. We do have Beauty laying down an expansion of her own, which will put them slightly ahead of the bottom team, as long as nothing absolutely insane happens. A couple of stalkers are scouting around to see if there are any pylons down, but alas, there are not. There are not. Now, this is one awful thing about playing with a Zerg player. This creep coming out of his base. I mean, pretty soon, I have friends that like to just spread their creep everywhere, and pretty soon, you know, I can't even build anything in my own base because there's creep all over the place. It is super freaking annoying. But it doesn't look like it's going to be a problem here, as this is a fairly large area. I'm going to admit I do not precisely know the name of this map, as it has been quite a while since I actually looked into like what any 2's map actually was. That song sounds like a bad porno. I'm just not going to even ask about that one. I don't think words can express how much I am not asking about that. Beauty's expansion is almost done now, down at the natural here. And one thing about this map is that there is this little entrance right here where you can easily sneak a probe right on by. and take a third base right here fairly easily. And also, obviously, you can take down your rocks to also have easy access to that. But this is just one little area you have to watch for stuff coming into the back of your natural expansions middle line. Never ever want to let that happen. Do have a couple of factories coming up and beginning to run now for Complexity's Minigun. In the meantime here, down over in the bottom side, not too much going on. A robotics facility was just dropped. We do have 3 gases now, 4 gases up on the field. So, going from some pretty intensive gas builds there, Beauty's still only on 2 of her gases, looking just to be able to produce buildings for the moment, is that normally what that signifies a lot of the time. Buildings obviously not taking too much gas, mass producing units quite a bit more. Minigun himself though is up to 4 gases, so he will be ready to rock and roll. And just look at this, macro and 2's, something that a lot of players overlook. It is just as important as macro and 1's. Coming over here to the resource tab, you can see all the players really just keeping down on that, and that is rather impressive because normally around about the 40 supply mark, players just completely tend to forget about that. You know what, I'm actually going to kill the tab for a little bit here because that is a big bulk of just nasty information. You can't really discern all that much because it takes up about a quarter of the screen. In the meantime, we do have glial reconstitution on the way, because I have the income tab open, production tab open, which I'm going to keep closed now because it annoys me. 2 more hatcheries being dropped down for Shiro, so it looks like he is gearing up to do some sort of pretty big attack. We do also have 3 queens down here, so they will all be able to larva inject these 2 hatcheries. So once again, probably a pretty massive attack is going to be on the way fairly shortly. Double robotics facilities coming down now for our red Protoss player Nico. I do not see a robotics bay anywhere, however. Oh, right there next to the facility. Okay, so it does look like we're going to be having double Colossus production, and I don't know what kind of tech we have down. It looks like a Hydralisk den being dropped, so Colossus with Hydralisk Roach support, that could be quite a nasty combination. However, the tanks on the high ground here will be able to fend off a lot of that Zerg army if the bottom team does not engage that quite properly. So that could become rather hairy for really both teams, just depending on what happens. I really like this out of Beauty, a Stargate coming down, because when you're playing 2's, you can fuck around however you want. We do have a Void Ray coming out, and mixed with some Immortals, that could be a really potent combination. And I mean, Void Rays, for those of you who don't know, just do ridiculous amounts of damage if left unchecked. If they're just sitting in the back of your army, just 2 or 3, it can totally turn the tides of any battle. So if you ever have extra money just sitting around in 2's, totally make some Void Rays. Do have a third base coming out now for our blue Zerg player, whose macro is beginning to slip just a little bit. It looks like our top team keeping up just a little bit better than the bottom team. However, that does not mean much until the engagement comes up, because the bottom team did have their expansions up just a little bit earlier, I feel. Just a little bit earlier. We do see all the harvesters fairly much the same. It does look like the bottom half of the field is doing a little bit better in that harvester count, however. Colossus are starting to pop out now. Extended Thermal Lance is on the way, just about finished, and that might be the cue to attack. Maybe that, maybe the 4th or 3rd Colossus. I don't quite know. And we do have Nico's pylon is stealthily going back in the backside of the third base of Beauty. I don't know if that'll get spotted or not. That's in kind of a surreptitious spot. One Void Ray is out on the field now, and it does look like this probe was scouted by Beauty, so she should know something is up, hopefully. I mean, she did get that probe coming out of the third base, but no, it doesn't look like she's going over there to look at anything. The robotics bay for Beauty just now finishing up, and she's continuing to chrono boost out Immortals and Void Rays. I would assume this was going to switch over to Colossus very shortly. There's some tab. There we go, resource tab. We do see that our bottom team is quite a bit ahead in supply right now. Beauty is in last place by about 35 supply there, so she's going to need to ramp up her production fairly shortly. She's going to want to help her teammate here in this battle, but it does look like the bottom team did let this Terran player go unchecked into mech play, and that could be absolutely devastating, because we just have tier 2 and tier 3 units just sitting around like there is no tomorrow. Does look like it might be about time to move out. There are a couple salvage bunkers now. 2, 3 Void Rays on the field. I have no idea. 3 Void Rays indeed. 3 Thors, 7 siege tanks, and actually just deciding to move down the ramp just a little bit instead of pushing out. I don't know if I quite agree with this positioning, as it really doesn't buy them anything, I don't feel, as the bottom team could just kind of come around right here and sneak up into the third, or come around the left side and sneak up into the third. However, good watchtower control will allow the top team, Beauty and Minigun, to see what is happening and when. A lot of roaches were spotted right there, I believe. I believe a Hellion was taken out. Beauty saying, cheer up, I told you she was nice. I told you she was nice. Mules being dropped everywhere, and this is one reason. Actually, here, there's a little bit of information I can give you guys to take out of this game that is otherwise fairly meaningless. The gold patches in GSL maps are being removed solely because of mules, and Blizzard says, yes, there is a problem, and then stops. They have decided to do absolutely nothing about it for the moment, even though mules have obviously been a problem since the very beginning. Oh man, commentary is going to end right there because I am not going to spark a balance discussion here. Colossus are beginning to be pumped out by Beauty. However, there are quite a few on the field for our red player already. Our red player, Nico, is up to 7 Colossus, and it does look like we are about to see the push out here. And indeed, they can see over this little tree line here, shooting through that to be able to take care of some of the bunkers. And a little bit of a bad engagement angle from the red ProCast player there, not quite getting to where he needs to be. And now the Void Rays are just going to town on pretty much anything they can see. Now backing up a little bit, but not losing a single Void Ray right there. A nice little engagement by the top team to be able to try to even up the odds just a little bit. Able to take out a little bit of the enemy supply for fairly much free. I don't really think they lost all that much. There are a lot of tanks on the field right now. Holy crap. That is 11 tanks, and now laying down a couple planetary fortresses. I assume to make, command centers, I assume to make planetary fortresses, trying to get the flank with the roaches here, but I don't know if it's going to quite be enough, as the sea tanks got quite a few shots off in time before the roach team got there, and the roach army is completely annihilated now. In the meantime, we do have the Colossus trying to run up and engage that. However, once again, there is just too much on the field. 3 of those Colossus near death now, and some doctors giving chase, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough. However, the Void Rays will be enough because, note to self, Colossus do not shoot up, for those of you who did not know. And now, really, it looks like the top team kind of has free reign to do whatever they want. They can either expand and try to just pretty much secure their lead. However, both teams are banking quite a bit of resources now. I would assume the smart thing here would be to attack. However, a lot of Hydralisks being spawned out now does not want to directly engage that, as that can be disastrous for the top team, as really the only thing on the field right now is counter Hydralisks, which is, well, like, guess everything. That's beside the point, however. The only thing these Hydralisks are really countering right now is these 3 Void Rays, which I think there might, yep, no, never mind, there are still 3. Fuck auto move, Beauty says. Auto move can be quite annoying. I would completely agree. And now indeed we do have these command centers going up once again, I assume to become planetary fortresses. This is interesting to say the least. Colossus able to force the cancel on one of those. And now once again here we have the mules over here just kind of wailing away at these gold patches, peaking the mineral income of Minigun to about, you know, 3,000. Fairly standard, right? Fairly standard. Nothing really crazy going on, except once again these command centers going down the middle of the field. It does look like Minigun's beginning to take pretty much every other base on the map. Just for good measure, this pylon up here should really be taken out. Not that I think, you know, our top team is in bad shape in any sort of way, but it is kind of a risk. I mean, you never want to get in that engagement, just kind of forget what you're doing, lose your army, and then realize you lost all of your economy as well. These 2 command centers here have indeed gone up now. A lot of Zerglings trying to stream out on the field, but they've got there a little bit too early, drawing a lot of the fire, but not quite enough. It does look like, once again, they streamed out a little bit early. The Colossus trying to come out and do some severe splash damage. Raven's running out in the middle of the field, shooting some Seeker missiles out and doing just a ridiculous amount of damage, taking out so many of the ground forces, and now there is virtually nothing left for the bottom team. I don't really know if there's anything they can do. You see in the supply counts, 78 and 149 to 114 and 159. So our Zerg player still holding out just long enough here, but I don't know once again if it's going to quite be enough, as this is a terrifying ball out of our top team here, out of our heroes, I would even just venture to say. I mean, there are Void Rays and Colossus in an army. Anytime you can get this sort of this sort of composition, go ahead and go for it, because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's pretty freaking strong. And there's the GG from Nico. We just have our blue Zerg player left. Fortunately, he is not tearing. He cannot lift his buildings to the corner of a map like some people do in mono battles and make me play a 9-hour game only to tie in the end. But we are seeing some well-managed players out of Minigun and Beauty once again, trying to do one final push. The Zerg player pushing up. However, there's just not enough. There are even Seeker missiles going off still, because why the hell not? Seeker missiles are awesome, and that is an underused power by Terran players. I really don't get why they aren't using it more. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, as it is now a 2v1, just so I can go ahead and get to my ProCasts for the night. Minigun and Beauty going ahead, pushing in to the end game here, just kind of taking out whatever's left of the bottom team here. And there is the leave by Shiro. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and that was a 2v2 with Complexity Minigun and Beauty, who is a friend of mine. I'm going to go ahead and link her Facebook in the chat so that you guys can go ahead and like that. I actually have to go out and get onto my other Facebook profile. So I'm going to go ahead and link that in the chat so that you guys can go there and like it. She is a very nice person, and I would really appreciate it if you guys supported her, because she feeds me replays, and that is just awesome. In the meantime, I am also going to go ahead and get ready to go on to the ProCast for the night.